Hello and welcome to another one of these videos where we go over looking at the process of working on one frame of Sonic. Now this is a scene that I actually animated during a live stream, where Sonic is walking over to Sally in perspective. So I animated him walking on the spot. And then, after doing the contact and passing positions, animated him. And for this one, this is an interesting cleanup frame, because instead of just cleaning up, tracing over a drawing that I've animated, I'm also in-betweening at the same time, which is something they do in Japanese anime a lot. And it helps save time because I don't have to draw it, I don't have to draw it, the in-between, and then trace over it. I could cut out the drawing, the in-between stage. So when do you use this process, this method? Well, as you can see, the lines are quite close together, so essentially it'll be a waste of time. Sorry about that. Redrawing this, because it's a direct in between, that means it's right in the middle, and you can just in between it directly and clean up, save a bunch of time. So what I'm doing in this program, which is quite useful when it's a vector-based program like Toon Boom, is I can take the lines that have already been drawn and shift them about the screen. So that's what I'm doing for a lot of these lines, like the head. I just grab the whole head and move that up or down, and then just shifted the spikes to give the illusion of a little overlap and bounce. And the cups are nice and round, so you can make use of the one of the tools in the options. Otherwise you just spend ages trying to draw one round circle, failing hundreds of times and then finally getting it right, only to Control Z it again accidentally and be left without circling. This is an interesting tool that I've only seen so far in Toon Boom. Not to say it's not in another program, but it's an interesting one. It's the cutting line tool. So whenever you draw, that's why you'll see that I'm crossing over the lines a lot. Say when I eventually get this bit done, see there's a little line that passes through the cuff that we don't want. It's ugly. I can use the cutting tool and click on it, and it just selects the part of the line that's gone, run over another line, and I can just delete it, which I will be making use of. Yeah, take a good few attempts to get these lines right sometimes. Ooh, wobbly. Oh well. And I can just manually adjust them as well at a later point. Something I probably should have done, which is what I used to do in Adobe Animate or Flash. For sausage shapes like this, that have rounded ends is to get the circle tool, draw 2 circles in the 2 points, and animate those, and then connect the circle points up, which I probably should have done instead of going over freehand at this point. Though it's something about the cutting tool in Toon Boom which leaves an undesirable result, which you'll see later, depending on what angle the line crosses another line. I think in the end I just copy the previous arm and paste it on and shift it about instead of wasting all that time redrawing it. So of course we've gone over the benefits of doing a direct clean in between, but what could go wrong? Now, like I said, you use these mainly for in-betweens where the drawings are quite similar together, sort of slow movements or movements where the character or object moves very slightly, so subtle stuff for moving holds and that sort of thing. But what could go wrong, because you haven't planned it out, all the volumes could go upside down and inside out and make your character just wobble because you haven't tested it out essentially by drawing beforehand. And actually on this scene, this frame you saw, or on all the frames really, I had to adjust something for quite a few things, because it was just losing volumes or the line was wobbling because it wasn't exactly in the center. So even though these drawings look quite close together, there were still some issues due to directly in betweening the clean up line. It's still faster than the other way, even with the fixes. Something I did take a long time doing, which was mainly due to this program. I mean, essentially I'd do the cleanup in Adobe Animate. That is perfect. You just use the tools, the lines click together nicely, so you don't have any holes. Whereas in Toon Boom, I got many little holes that I couldn't see, and I spent ages trying to find, so I could close the line and fill the colour with the paint bucket tool. Also, the other problem of cutting the line, which you could do in Adobe Animate as well. Rather than cutting, you just select the part that you don't want and get rid of it. You have to do the lasso tool and then control and click one of the previous lines that you don't want to select and just press delete. Similar outcome. But yeah, when it comes to painting, it's much quicker. And also you can stretch and move the pivot points around much easier than Toon Boom. You have to be more precise. And then when I was using TV Paint, because it's very traditional based software, like it replicates traditional animation drawing techniques on paper, I had to be very precise and plan it out beforehand. I had to know exactly the right thickness for the lines, because I couldn't go and click on it and then change it, whereas in Toon Boom, because it's vector based and I use the pencil tool, I can just go over this lathe and say, oh, the line's too thin or too thick, select it all and change the line thickness, no problem. But TV Paint, because it was drawing in raster, I would have had some difficulties, but luckily, well, not luckily, thankfully for my foresight, I planned it out beforehand and luckily didn't run into any of those issues. Yeah, I'm being quite abstract with the legs at the moment and what shape they should be. I think I fixed the thickness changed a little bit when I went over it all again. I think this whole frame's taken about a quarter of an hour to do. Probably take longer if I wasn't so bad at drawing the lines. I mean, less time. Oh yeah, this was a bit of a pain. Like I said, you can't click the lines together. The two ends of each line, you can't just select them and put them together and they go into place. So you kind of have to cross over a little bit. And you can see there's a slight orange line in between the black line. And that's where all the information of the vector is based. So the blacks could all touch, but if the orange lines don't intersect with one another, then it doesn't count as crossed over. And they're super thin, difficult to see. And this is where things get a bit more complicated when direct in betweening with a cleanup, because the shapes are very unnatural. Oh, got a message there. So not simple, basic geometry like a circle, square, triangle, whatever. Kind of uneven, so it's a little bit more difficult to judge. So like I was saying, in Japan they have Doga artists. Genga's just animation. Doga, which are the in-betweeners, and that's essentially what they do to save on time once into the general production, because it's the animators that save time really, not animating the in-betweens, is they leave them for the Doga artist. And so essentially the in-betweens they do leave are ones that can be cleaned up, in between what's being cleaned up. Otherwise we're just inviting trouble if you leave an in-between that's that's spaced far apart from the previous and next drawings. There we go, see we lose some volume on his left leg. So I'll fix that later. Yep, and that's it. No it isn't, I lied. Got some extra crossing over lines here that I'd eliminated. See, nice and easy, click on them, press delete. Anyway, until next time.